They thought I was finished, a washed-up old man with nothing left but memories and a broom in his hand. For years, my daughter-in-law looked down on me, sneering at my clothes, whispering behind my back, calling me the janitor of the family. She married my son for his name, not for love. And when he passed, she took everything she could, the house, the cars, even the family company. I didn't fight back. I let her believe I was broken, because sometimes silence is the sharpest weapon you can hold. Last week, she invited me to my grandson's birthday party at her new penthouse downtown. I thought maybe after all these years she'd found some kindness, but instead, she handed me divorce papers from the trust fund that was in my late son's name. She smiled as if she'd finally erased me. Before I left, she leaned in, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Don't worry, old man. Soon you'll be out of our lives for good." She turned away, laughing with her friends. I headed toward the elevator, pressed my palm to the glass scanner, and that's when security yelled, "Stop! Don't touch that glass!" Every guest froze, and in that single moment, her world changed forever. For most of my life, I worked quietly. I never cared for luxury, fancy suits, or titles. All I ever wanted was peace, and to see my family happy. After my wife passed away, I moved into a smaller apartment and left the family business to my son, David. He was smart, honest, and had his mother's heart. But when he met Olivia, everything began to change. Olivia came from money, or at least she wanted everyone to think she did. She loved being seen in expensive places, dressed in designer clothes, surrounded by people who only spoke the language of status. David loved her too deeply to see it, and by the time he realized what she truly wanted, it was too late. When David died in an accident, Olivia's mask slipped. She turned cold overnight. Within weeks, she'd taken control of everything: the business, the house, and the inheritance meant for my grandson, Noah. She told me I could stay in the guest house for a while, but soon even that became an inconvenience. Her words still echo in my mind. "Bill, I'm not running a charity. You should be grateful I even let you live here." I stayed quiet. She called me the janitor because I liked fixing things around the property. She'd laugh in front of her friends, saying, "Don't mind him. He's just the help." And every time I smiled and said nothing, they saw an old man with worn shoes and oil-stained hands. What they didn't see was the quiet patience of someone who'd built an empire brick by brick and signed every property deed in his own name. Under a different company, no one ever noticed. Olivia believed she owned everything. She never asked where the trust fund money came from, or how the maintenance company that cleaned her penthouse stayed afloat when others went bankrupt. If she had looked closer, she would have realized she worked for me, the same man she mocked. But I waited, because I knew her greed would bring her straight to the moment she could no longer hide from herself. The invitation came a week before Noah's birthday. Gold lettering, expensive paper, her name printed larger than his. Hosted by Olivia Anderson, it said, as if she owned the bloodline itself. I almost didn't go. But Noah called me that morning, his small voice full of excitement. "Grandpa, please come. Mommy said you might not want to, but I want you there." That was enough. I put on my best shirt, the same one Olivia once called cheap thrift trash, and took the bus downtown. The building was new, all glass and gold. A penthouse at the top, with a private elevator and a doorman who looked at me twice before letting me in. When I arrived, laughter echoed through the room. I could tell instantly I didn't belong. Olivia spotted me near the door and plastered on that fake smile of hers. "Oh, Bill, you made it," she said, her voice dripping with pretend warmth. She looked at my shoes and sighed quietly. "Maybe next time let me get you something more appropriate." I smiled, said nothing, and handed Noah his gift, a small wooden airplane I'd carved myself. He hugged me tight. That was the only real moment in that entire room. The rest of the evening, Olivia made sure I stayed invisible. When guests asked who I was, she laughed and said, "Just family help. He fixes things around the house." Some of them nodded politely. Others chuckled. Dinner came, and I was seated far from the main table. But I didn't mind. I'd learned long ago that distance reveals character. Then, right before dessert, Olivia stood and clinked her glass. "Before we end the night," she said, "there's one more thing to take care of." Her tone changed, cold, deliberate. She pulled out a set of papers and walked toward me. "Bill," she said loudly, "it's time we finalize some things. You're still technically listed as trustee on David's old fund. The lawyers need your signature to release everything officially to me, for Noah's sake, of course." People turned to watch. I stayed seated, looking at her, feeling every whisper burn against my back. Then she added with a smirk, "You've had a good run here, old man. But it's time to stop pretending you belong in a place like this." A few guests laughed quietly. I didn't. I just stood, nodded, and signed the papers she held, the ones she thought would make her owner of everything. She leaned down, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Goodbye. Bill, don't worry, I'll take care of your grandson." Then she turned away, smiling like she'd finally won. But what she didn't realize was that the pen she gave me wasn't the one I brought, and what I signed wasn't what she thought. Because long before she printed those documents, I had already filed new ownership records, placing every property, every share, every account under one private holding company. Mine. After she kissed my forehead and walked away, I headed toward the elevator. I could feel eyes on me, a few guests whispering, others pretending not to stare. They thought I was leaving in shame. Maybe that's what she wanted. I reached the elevator and placed my hand on the glass scanner. It beeped softly, then red lights flashed. "Access denied," the machine said. Before I could move my hand, one of the security guards came running. "Sir, please step back. Don't touch that glass." The whole room went silent. Olivia froze, her smile fading. "What's going on?" she asked, walking toward us. The guard looked nervous. "Ma'am, this elevator belongs to the property's owner. It's biometric access only. He's the only one registered to use it." A wave of confusion spread through the room. Olivia laughed awkwardly. "That can't be right. This is my penthouse." The guard checked his tablet again. Then he said the words that changed everything. "No, ma'am. Ownership was transferred last week. The system updated automatically." Her face went pale. "Transferred to who?" He turned the screen around. My name was there in bold letters, William H. Anderson. You could hear the air leave the room. Guests whispered. Cameras clicked. Someone even gasped. Olivia turned to me, shaking. What is this?" I stepped closer and said quietly, "It's called housekeeping, Olivia. I finally cleaned my own house." She looked like she wanted to scream, but I kept talking, calm, steady. "For years you mocked me for fixing broken things. Turns out I was fixing my legacy." Then I handed her a sealed envelope. She opened it with trembling hands. Inside was an official eviction notice, effective immediately. Her voice broke. "You can't do this." "I have a child," I nodded, "and he'll be fine. Because you're not losing his grandfather, just the house that never belonged to you." She dropped the papers. Her friends looked away, and I walked into the elevator. This time, when I placed my palm on the glass, it turned green. The doors closed slowly as the whispers behind me grew louder. Olivia stood frozen, the queen of nothing. For the first time in years, I felt light. Justice doesn't always come with anger or shouting. Sometimes it comes with a quiet smile and a simple scan of a hand. When the elevator doors closed, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. For years I'd watched Olivia drain the warmth from our home, her greed hidden behind fake smiles and expensive gifts. She thought wealth was power, but real power is knowing when to walk away and let truth do the talking. As the elevator climbed, I looked at my reflection in the glass walls. A tired man stared back, but for the first time, I liked what I saw. No more pretending. No more being the quiet fool in the corner. When the doors opened, my lawyer was waiting. He smiled. "It's done, Mr. Anderson. The transfer, the accounts, everything." I nodded. "Good. Make sure the trust for my grandson is secure." He adjusted his glasses. "It already is. Olivia won't touch a cent. Your grandson's education, his future, all handled." I exhaled slowly. That was what mattered. Not revenge, not humiliation, but making sure innocence never paid for greed. Downstairs, Olivia was escorted out by security. Cameras followed her. Once she noticed the reporters, she tried to hide behind her hands. But it was too late. Every lie she built crumbled in front of the same people she used to impress. Later that evening, my son came to see me. He looked broken. "Dad." I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know, son. She fooled us all. But now we rebuild, together." He nodded, holding back tears. "Thank you for not giving up on me." I smiled faintly. "A father never does." We stood there in silence for a while. Two men who'd lost years to lies but finally found peace. As I looked out over the city skyline, I realized something. Revenge doesn't always need fire. Sometimes it's as cold and quiet as glass, and it cuts even deeper.